Hey everybody, welcome to Beit Yeshua Torah Portion Series. And today we're looking at the Torah portion called Toldot. That's Genesis 25:19 through Genesis 28 verse 9. Now, when we look at the Hebrew meaning of the word Toldot, we found out that it means generations. Specifically, we're talking about the generations from Isaac, who are Jacob and Esau. So it starts out with Isaac. He is the son of Abraham, of course. It basically goes on to describe how God listened to Isaac and to his wife Rebekah's prayer that they should have children. So she becomes pregnant with twins. The twins end up fighting in the womb, and a prophecy is made that the older, who will leave the womb first, shall actually serve the one who is younger. When they're born, the younger comes out holding on to his brother's heel. The name the older son, Esau, or Esav, that means something that is rough to the touch, because he came out hairy, he came out red. And the younger they named Yaakov, or Jacob, we call him Jacob, meaning to grab and trip someone up by the heel. They grew up to be very different. Esau became a cunning hunter. That's something that's never a good thing in the scriptures. But Jacob became a tamim man, a wholehearted, a perfect man, an innocent man. He was said to have dwelt in tents, and that's commonly interpreted as someone who's a student of his forefathers' traditions. So Isaac ended up preferring Esau because he was such a good hunter, he was a manly man, and he got him good food and everything like that. But Rebekah preferred Jacob. Now one day, Jacob came home. He was famished from being in the fields, and he agreed to Jacob's proposal that he would sell his firstborn rights, which would include material and spiritual blessings, as well as, a lot of people don't realize, the priesthood over the family itself, for a bowl of red lentil stew. He sold all this for that. In this way, the scripture says, Esau despised his birthright. So, chapter 26 of Genesis describes a famine in the land. Isaac is commanded by Adonai to stay in the land despite the famine. Isaac ends up dwelling in the land controlled by a Philistine king named Abimelech, and he follows in his father's footsteps of calling his wife his sister in order to protect himself from jealous men of the land. Now, you may think this may not work out very well, but it ends up somehow working out. When Abimelech, the king, finds out the truth, he actually states that no person in the land is able to bother Isaac or his wife. So Isaac goes on to prosper in the land. He becomes so powerful and prospers so much that he ends up being told by that same king Abimelech to move away from that area due to his becoming so powerful. So he moves away into the valley of Gerar. Gerar means sojourning. And he redug the wells that his father Abraham had dug originally before those Philistines had covered them up. So, what happens next? God ends up appearing to Isaac. He ratifies the original promise that was made to Abraham, and he actually says, and I'm going to quote from the chapter 26 of Genesis, I am the God of Abraham, your father. Fear not, for I am with you. I will bless you, and I will multiply your seed for the sake of Abraham, my servant. Isaac is then met by the Philistines, and he makes a peace agreement with them. Now, moving on in chapter 27 of Genesis, we see how the now aged Isaac is requesting food from the field as caught and prepared by his older son Esau, after which he will bless him, because he still is under the impression that Esau is going to get the firstborn blessing. Before Esau completes this task, Rebekah ends up convincing Jacob to do it instead, to pretend he is Esau, to prepare food, to substitute two goats of the flock for the deer that Esau was going to prepare. After this is done, Isaac ends up blessing Jacob, and he blesses him with all the blessings of agriculture as well, stating in Genesis 27:29 that nations shall serve you, and kingdoms shall bow down to you. You shall be a master over your brothers, and your mother's sons shall bow down to you. Those who curse you will be cursed, and those who bless you will be blessed. I'm sure you remember that from the promises made to Abraham. Now, after this incident itself, Esau comes back from the field. He ends up being too late. He complains, he cries, he begs for a blessing for himself as well. Isaac ends up granting him this. And he says, "Behold, your dwelling place shall be the fat places of the earth, and of the dew of the heaven from above, and you shall live by your sword, and you shall serve your brother, and it will be when you gain dominion that you will break his yoke off your neck." Esau then states how he hates his brother Jacob and plans to kill him when their father Isaac dies. When Rebekah learns of this and urges Jacob to flee, he actually flees to her brother to get away from Esau. Isaac himself also ends up instructing Jacob to do the exact same thing, and he also tells him not to take a wife from Canaan, but actually to take a wife from Laban's daughters. This is where the Torah portion ends, but now I wanted to talk about something that's really interesting to me. You know, when we think about the faith chapter of Hebrews chapter 11, we see something very interesting. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come, Hebrews 11:20. So before we end this, let's talk about faith for a couple minutes. If we look at every mention of faith in that famous chapter, we can see and know that the answer to the great faith versus works debate is not as complicated as our theologians and everything like that make it out to be. Okay? What's the answer? So, according to the writer of Hebrews, every person performed an act through faith. What does it say? Through faith, Abel offered a sacrifice. Through faith, Noah built an ark. Through faith, Abraham left his country. And here, this Torah portion itself, through faith, Isaac blessed his sons. Through faith, the children of Israel kept the Passover feast. Never thought that could be through faith, could you? And so on. So, why did they perform those acts? They did because they truly believed, they truly had faith that God exists, that He is the God of Israel, and that He rewards those who choose Him and His ways, which is basically quoting from Hebrews 11:6. Their faith empowered them to do those things. This is the straightforward truth of faith and works, as illustrated by the Old Testament and then explained in the New Testament writings. Those who have true faith in the reality of the God of the Bible and His promises will then want to do their best and act on those things that they are called by God to perform according to their understanding. I hope you enjoyed this short little tidbit on the Torah portion of Toldot. And again, that is Genesis 25:19 through 28:9. And I appreciate you watching. I hope you have a great, blessed day.